What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I have a bunch of luxury makeup sitting here in front of me that I recently picked up in a haul, and I'm talking Chanel, Hermes, Dior, Merit, Valentino, and I thought it would be fun to play with this get ready with me style. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet, but I will have everything linked and listed down below in the description box. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get my hair out of my face and start playing with some new makeup. Let's go ahead and kick this off with primer. So this is the Merit Great Skin Priming Moisturizer, and this is one of the products I picked up during the Sephora VIB sale. Originally, I intended on getting another one of the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Bases. That's a holy grail for me, especially in the cooler months here when the humidity kind of drops and my skin starts to dry out a little bit more. But I came across this one and it was a fraction of the price and it had a lot of the same claims to it, so I thought maybe this would be a good alternative to that. Plus, it comes in a pump bottle, which I love. I cannot stand the jar that the one from Bobbi Brown comes in. But according to the brand, this is a lightweight cream that instantly blurs and preps skin for makeup while helping to provide time-released hydration for perfected skin all day. Exactly what I'm needing right now. We had a little bit of a cold snap come through last night, and I can definitely feel that my skin is on a lot more of the drier side right now, so I'm excited to try this out today. Now, this does feel very lightweight, very hydrating, and very luxe, like very thick, I guess. That doesn't really make any sense, lightweight and thick, but it feels like it's going to be very rich on the skin. That's the word I was looking for, but it doesn't feel like it's greasy. It doesn't feel oily or anything like that, but if you do have very oily skin, this is probably not going to be a product for you. It doesn't have a fragrance to it, so I appreciate that. The one from Bobbi Brown does have a little bit of like a kind of like a toned down citrusy fragrance to it. I don't mind it, but I know a lot of people do. But that looks nice. It feels nice. My skin definitely feels hydrated, and I think we are prepped and ready to go for foundation. For foundation, I have this one from Chanel. This is the Le Beige Healthy Glow Foundation. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is one I have already used several times. I have worn it for many, many hours, and I have fallen in love with this foundation. It is very lightweight. It is a light to medium coverage foundation. I can definitely kind of sheer it out if I need to or build it up a little bit. It is very hydrating on the skin, so if you have really oily skin, this is not going to be for you. But when I tell you the longevity on this foundation is impeccable, I kid you not. There was one day when I was in court that I had to be up at like 4:30 in the morning, and I didn't get home till I think it was almost 9 o'clock at night because my oldest son had an orchestra concert at the school. So I went straight from downtown to the school, and I had this on for about 17 hours, and my complexion looked stunning at the end of the day. I thought I was going to be a hot mess when I got home, and I was pleasantly surprised that this stayed very intact. I do want to note I had on a more mattifying primer. I had on my one from Gucci. It is a little bit more mattifying, but it's a lightweight mattifying, so it's not one that's going to like dry out your skin and really suck up the moisture. It's just going to kind of give you a more matte finish. So I did have this paired with that, but I didn't have on any powder. I just had a little setting spray on over top. In fact, I had on this one from Charlotte Tilbury, and my skin looked phenomenal at the end of the day. I was so incredibly impressed. This looks very skin-like on the skin. Yes, this looks very skin-like on the skin. I also want to say I had the shade BR12, and it is a perfect skin match for me. But this just looks so beautiful. I was wildly impressed with how this one wore. So I'm just going to go ahead and build it up to kind of a light medium coverage. I don't want to build it up to its full intensity and capability that it has, but I do want to get a little bit of coverage. But you see how that's just kind of perfecting my skin. It's toning down the redness, but it just looks so natural. It's meshing beautifully with my skin. It doesn't look heavy, cakey, and that shade match is perfection. All right, so this is what the complexion is looking like, and you can see I still have a little bit of redness peeking through. That doesn't bother me, so it's not going to give you a full coverage, which it doesn't claim to, but it does sit very beautifully on the skin. I like how natural it looks, and it definitely kind of perfected my skin without taking that natural look away from it. I do have a couple of breakouts around my chin area, and that's from the Dolce & Gabbana foundation. It has that SPF in it, and I pushed it just a couple of days too far. So we are going to try and cover those with a little bit of the Westman Atelier concealer and see what that does. But this foundation just looks so incredibly stunning on the skin. I love the way that it looks. I do want to note that this does have a fragrance to it. It has that classic Chanel fragrance, so if you're someone who doesn't like fragrance in your makeup, this is not going to be for you, but it does dissipate. It doesn't hang around. The only time I really smell it is when I'm going in around my mouth and nose, and then after that I don't smell it for the rest of the day. But let's go ahead and pop into concealer. So this is not new. I have used this several times. I've been using this pretty much exclusively since I got it. This is the Westman Atelier Vital Skincare Concealer. I have the shade L1. It's the lightest one that they have, and this concealer is absolutely stunning. When I tell you it lays under the eyes perfectly, it does. It doesn't budge. It doesn't crease on me. It doesn't settle into lines. I don't need to set it with powder. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I probably will not set it today, but it just stays nice and hydrating. It doesn't move around. It doesn't accentuate texture under your eyes. This has become a favorite concealer of mine, but I've never used it on the face before, so I'm going to take a little bit of what's left on the brush and just kind of dot it over top these couple of little breakouts that I have right here and see if we can just tone down the redness. Obviously, you're not going to get rid of the texture. You'll still be able to see them, but it is taking away that redness because we do have that more light to medium coverage foundation. But see how beautiful that looks under the eye? Very smoothing, very blurring, and nice and hydrating. All right, so I changed my mind and decided I am going to powder my under eyes. This is the Pat McGrath Under Eye Blurring Powder in the shade Baby Pink. This one came out, I believe, earlier this year, and this has quickly become a holy grail of mine. But I decided to powder my under eyes because I'm playing with a new eyeshadow formula, and I don't know if I'm going to get fallout, transfer, or anything like that, and I do have things to do today. I have somewhere to be, I have some hair to do, and I don't need a big old mess. So I went ahead and powdered under my eyes really quick, and next we're gonna go ahead and powder my face. This is the Refi water-based powder. I love and adore this powder so much. This is not a new release, and I have been playing with this for a while. I actually had one of y'all recommend it whenever I was talking about the Becca Hydra Mist powder. That was one of my absolute favorites. I was so sad when they got rid of it and went, well, not when they got rid of it, but when Becca went under and nobody picked up that powder, because it is just a beautiful powder. It feels like you're putting water on your skin, so it's hydrating when it goes on, but it just locks everything in place. And I have been looking for a dupe or an alternative to that one ever since I ran out, which was about 2 years ago at this point. And finally, I had one of you comment in one of my videos, I can't remember which one, saying that this one was exactly like that one. So I finally picked this one up during the Sephora sale. Yes, during the Sephora sale, my first order that I placed, and I have fallen in love with this powder. It sets the face, but it doesn't make you look matte and dehydrated or really powdery. It feels nice and hydrating on the skin, and I just love how it wears and how it locks everything in place. All right, y'all, so we have come to my biggest splurge of the year. I decided to treat myself because I've really been eyeing this one for such a long time, and I've heard amazing things about it, and that is going to be this one from Hermes. This is their Healthy Glow Mineral Powder Bronzer, and this has a hefty price tag to it, y'all. I kid you not. But I have the shade 01 Tatori, I think is how you pronounce it. It comes in the beautiful orange Hermes box, but this is going to be the lightest one, and this is what our component looks like. And when you open it up, this is the bronzer. So it is a tri-colored powder. It has that classic H in the middle, and I've heard this is stunning on the skin. So we're gonna go ahead and try it out. If I don't like it at all for like any reason, if I have any tiny little amount of doubt, it will go back. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up with my Refer 05 brush, And I am just going to kind of swirl it in here really good, coat my brush, and I am going to start buffing this into the skin. This does have a fragrance to it. It has like a very perfumey fragrance. It's a pleasant one. It's not like your traditional luxury fragrance, I guess. It smells very perfumey. And I can really smell it as I'm kind of buffing this into the skin, but that looks beautiful. It is very natural. I'm loving the undertone. It has warmth to it, but it's not like an orangey warmth to it. It's picking up really nicely on my brush, and honestly, I was afraid when I first picked it up that this was going to do nothing because it looked so light, but I have come to realize don't underestimate these really light bronzers, especially if you have super fair skin like I do. I don't have the fairest of skin. I know there's people out there with skin lighter than me, but generally I go for the lightest cool undertone foundation. So that gives you a little bit of an idea how fair I am. And I've come to realize that the lighter bronzers just look more natural and beautiful on the skin than some of the deeper ones. And I really prefer more of like a neutral or a rosy undertone to my bronzer. But this looks so beautiful. It has just a really pretty satin finish to it. So it's not going to be a full-on matte bronzer, but that's going on the skin stunning. Now, do I 100% think, based off of first impression, that this is worth the $110 price tag? I know, I can't believe I just said that. No, but do I feel like I need to take it back? Also no. I think it's beautiful. For blush, I have one of the new cream to powder formulas from Chanel. This is in the shade Rose Radiant, and I was a little hesitant to pick this up because I do have a Chanel blush in my collection. It's one of their baked blushes from their regular line, and if I'm being honest, I hate that blush. I say it every time I go through my collection, but I hold on to it because it's Chanel and it was expensive, but it's just not very pigmented. It's very hard to build up on the skin, and I was very disappointed in it. But I have heard really good things about this formula. You can see I've already swatched it in my haul video, and I thought the color was absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot and see if this is the Chanel formula. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this with a Morphe R10 brush. I am out of clean brushes, so we're getting the oddballs out, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick a little bit of this up. So it does pick up nicely, and I am just going to start to build this up on my cheek. Now, this is supposed to be a buildable formula, so it's not going to be super pigmented right off the bat, which most luxury makeup is not, and I don't mind a buildable formula, especially when it comes to my blush. I just want it to have pigment to it. I want it to be one that I don't have to dip in 50,000 times to have it show up on my fair skin, and this is beautiful. It has a nice sheen to it. It has definitely built up the pigmentation, and it built up quickly. I didn't have to dip in here a million times, and I think that's going on beautifully. It's not lifting the product underneath, it's melting into the skin, and I think that color is really beautiful. Plus, like I said, it has that nice little sheen to it, and while I don't mind a matte blush, I like one that has a little bit of a sheen to it. I don't want a full-on glow generally, but I want something that's just gonna have a really pretty satin finish. All right, so the blush is on, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful on the skin. Like I said, when I was applying it, it didn't disrupt my makeup underneath. It didn't move anything around, patch or skip, or do anything funky. I like the pigmentation that it's giving, and I love that it has that soft glow to it. But let's move on because I do have a highlighter to play with, and this is one that I have already played out with before. It's also from Chanel, and this is the Balm Essential in the shade Scintillamint. Now, this is going to be a very balmy product, so if you don't like balmy products, you're not going to like this. But I will say it does dry down a little bit. It doesn't say super tacky on the skin to where your hair is going to stick to it, but it's not going to have a powder-like finish. But it doesn't have a whole lot of base to it. It just has this really pretty glow to the skin. I don't even know if the camera is going to pick that up, but you'll definitely be able to see it once I get it on the cheek. But it just has this really pretty, like, pink opalescent flip to it. It is stunning. So I found that my favorite way to apply this is to just get a little bit on my finger and kind of do that with my finger and my thumb, and then I just kind of tap it on the high points of my cheek, and it just adds this really pretty like dewy glow to the skin. So it's not going to have a flip, it's not going to have a blindingness to it, but you see how it just has this really natural, like the sun is hitting, I'm glistening, I'm hydrated, and I think it is beautiful. Now there are multiple different ways you can use this. I've heard some people put it on under their concealer to give a little bit of extra hydration, especially if they're going in with a more matte concealer, which is another way that I want to try. You can use this on your eyes as sort of like a topper to give a little bit of that wet effect. You can use it on your lips. There's multiple ways. It's a multi-use product. I'm having a really hard time with words today, but I think this is beautiful. I do really enjoy it. I don't know if it's one that I would ever want to pick up more shades in, or if I would ever repurchase if it went bad, or if I used it all the way up. I don't think I will ever use this all the way up because look at how much product is in there. And I use the tiniest little bit on the high points of my cheeks. But let's go ahead and move on to brows. So this is the only product in here that is not considered a luxury makeup item, but it's new. I picked it up during the Sephora VIB sale and I want to try it out. So this is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is the Volumizing Tinted Brow Gel. Now this is a new release from the brand, and I said this in my haul video that I had intended on getting another one of the Milk Makeup Kush brow gels that I love so much because I feel like the one that I have is a little too dark for my brows now that my hair is growing out a little bit more and my base isn't quite as dark. But I came across this one and decided to try this one instead, and I have used it once because I was curious, and I have to say the shade is absolutely perfect, but I love the wand on this. So that is the wand, and you can see it just has the one side that has the little spikes and the other side is flat. So it makes it very easy to brush through your brows, and I feel like the product is distributed better on this applicator than it is on the one from Milk, because that one you have to be very careful how much product you pick it up and how you apply it, because it can get away from you very quickly. And I just found that the one time that I used this, I didn't have that issue. Now, I do have my eyebrows microbladed on. They are tattooed under here because they are very sparse. And at this point, it's been about 1.5 years since I've had them done. So I will probably be due for a touch-up next year. But I just like to have a volumizing kind of fiber mascara for my brows to kind of add that extra volume and color that I'm missing. But look how beautiful that is. Very natural looking. It doesn't look like my brows are glued in place. They don't look super dark. And if you compare it to this one over here, it just adds that extra framing to my face that I need. All right, before we jump into the eyes, I have a couple of new lip products to try out. I know I said that I don't need any more lip products in my collection, but I came across this one from Valentino and I absolutely had to try it out. And since I was trying this out, I needed a lip liner to go with it. So I picked up one from Dior. This is the Rouge Contour Crayon Lip Liner Pencil. I have the shade Nude Blush, and when I looked at it online, it looked like these two were going to match really nicely, but when I swatched them out in person, they're not a perfect match, but we're going to roll with it anyway. So this is what the component looks like. You have the brush over here, and then you have the pencil over here, and this is sharpenable, so it does come with a little Dior pencil sharpener, which I absolutely love. I am definitely somebody who enjoys a pencil liner for the eyes or the lips over a mechanical one. There's just something about it that I like. So let me go ahead and take off this lip oil and we'll apply the liner. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just line my lips. I cannot talk and do this, so I apologize. That is going on really nicely. It's nice and creamy. This is almost like my lips, but better. All right, so my lips are lined and this went on really nice. It was very creamy, but it wasn't too creamy where I feel like it's gonna move around. But I don't know if this is going to dry down and stay in place all day, but I do think the color is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, it's my lips but better, and this is definitely my kind of shade. But let's go ahead and move on to the lipstick if I can find the cap for this. There it is. Okay, so I picked up one of the Valentino Spike Valentino Matte Couture in a lipsticks. So this is in the shade 134R, and I believe it's called Couture in the Streets. And I thought this shade was beautiful, and I know the matte lip is coming back, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the way a matte lip wears on my lips. I like the way that it looks on my lips, but I have very dry lips, so if it doesn't have that hydrating effect to it, it just really kind of sucks the moisture and life out of them and just makes them even drier. But I was really curious about this. So this is what our component looks like. This is so beautiful. This is very heavy, very luxurious. It's gold with the spikes on it. It says Valentino right there. And this is going to be a slim lipstick, which I love. I find them to be very easy to apply. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying this to my lips, and we're gonna see what it does. That shade is beautiful. This is not dragging. It's going on very nicely. It doesn't feel super creamy, but it doesn't feel very dry either. And it definitely has that matte finish to it. That is beautiful. I love the shade. I love the way that it went on. I love the way that it looks. It has a good opacity to it. It didn't pull, it didn't tug, it didn't drag, it didn't go on patchy. This does have a slight fragrance to it, but honestly, I couldn't smell it when I was putting it on. I only smelled it when I like put it up to my nose to see if it had a fragrance, but I think that shade is absolutely beautiful. It is deeper, but it's still a little bit on that rosy mauve side. So my kind of shade yet again. But let's go ahead and move on to eyes, because I do have a new palette to play with. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyes and zoom y'all in just a little bit more. Alright y'all, so for the eyes, I have the Enchanted Night palette from Chanel, and this is part of their winter collection. So this is a limited edition product, and this comes in one of their mega palettes. Now, this thing is huge compared to their normal size palette right here. This also feels a little bit heavier, a little bit more luxurious in the hand. I love the gold emblem on the front, and this is what, if I can get the little plastic piece out, this is what the palette looks like, and I thought this was just so incredibly beautiful. It really caught my eye, because when I think of luxury makeup, I don't think of this, and I was really curious about it. You can definitely double this as blushes and highlighters and things like that, but since I already have on a blush, we're gonna use this whole palette on the eye. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit, because I saw a look on the website using this palette, and that is the one that I want to recreate. But personally, in my mind, I thought of this as more of a companion palette, maybe a one and done, add a little dazzle to the lid and things like that. But we're gonna create one cohesive look with this palette, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this pink shade right here. But actually, you know what, before I do that, let's swatch this palette out real quick. So let's go ahead and swatch out the pink shade, and then we're gonna swatch the silver one as well. So these did pick up really nicely. They feel very baked. They do feel a little dry, but more like a baked dry, not like a like they don't have enough emolliency in them dry. But let's go ahead and swatch out our beautiful silver shade right there. And then we have this really pretty pink that would make a beautiful blush. I'm wondering how pigmented it is, if it's going to be super intimidating or anything like that. But next we have this beautiful orange shade, and then we have the purple one right here. Now this one definitely, this orange shade, felt probably the silkiest out of all of them, but they did pick up really nicely. So we have our orange right here. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And then the purple over here. So definitely good pigmentation, a little bit on the sheer side. If you are an indie sea beauty lover or anything like that, this is not going to give you the same punch that those are. But whenever I buy luxury makeup, I know that going into it, I don't expect it to have that same kind of pigmentation that those are going to have. But Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and start with this pink shade right here. And I am going to pick this up with a new brush from a new brush set that I just got from Ladybug Glow. And I do believe that these are currently sold out at the moment. Hopefully she'll do a restock. We'll see how it goes. But she came out with this cute little brush set. Let me show you what these look like real quick in case she does restock them. But this is the brush set right here, and this retails for I think $55. And these do have a shorter handle to them, so they're great for like travel and things like that, or if you just like to have a smaller handle. But look at the brushes that are in this. Ugh, I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this pink shade with this one right here. This is it's a brush, that's what it is. It doesn't have a name to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this pink shade, and I'm gonna try and recreate the look that I saw on the Chanel website. So I'm gonna start by kind of packing this right here in the center of my lid. My eyes are primed with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. So I'm just gonna pack this shade on. And I'm going to bring it over to about right there, and I am going to kind of blend it up into my crease. I don't want to take it super high, but I don't want to just stop it on the lid and just have it kind of cut off. That is really pretty. It does have a nice amount of pigmentation to it. It's going on really nicely. I'm not getting any fallout. It's not patching, it's not skipping, grabbing, or doing anything weird. And it's not emphasizing the texture on my lid either. This is going on beautifully. All right, so this is what the pink shade is looking like on my lid, and I think it looks really nice. I'm impressed with the pigmentation, I'm impressed with the application, and I like this brush too. I think it applied the shadow beautifully. But next we're gonna go into this purple shade right here, and I'm gonna pick that one up with this sort of angled fluffy brush from Ladybug Glow, and I'm gonna put this on my outer corner. So I'm gonna build up a little bit of depth with this shade. So I'm just gonna kind of tap it right out here and kind of bring it up a little bit, and then kind of blend everything together and smoke it out just a little bit out here. Now, I maybe should have gone in with this shade first and then kind of worked my way over, but it's definitely building up on that pink shade nicely. Like I said, I've never played with this formula before, so it's very new to me. I'll have to play around with it and give y'all my actual final thoughts on this palette in a future ranking video, but I do think that looks really pretty. I'm liking the blend of those. I'm liking the pigmentation. Again, it's not emphasizing texture, no fallout, skipping, patching, or anything like that, and this brush is applying it beautifully as well. Next, for the lower lash line, we're going to go into this orange shade right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it up with this kind of packing brush from Ladybug Glow, and I'm just going to kind of fluff this along my lower lash line. So I'm not going to keep it like tight line, but I'm also not going to fluff it out too much, and I'm going to bring it all the way across. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Very pretty, very editorial, very luxurious. All right, y'all, and lastly for the inner corner, we're gonna go into this really pretty silver shimmer shade right here, and I'm gonna pick it up with this little pencil brush from Ladybug Glow, and I'm just gonna pop this right in my inner corner. Now, I think this would make a beautiful highlighter because it doesn't have a super deep base to it, so I think it's gonna work well for a lot of skin tones. If you have a deeper skin tone than I do, which is pretty much anything else across the board, let me know if you pick this palette up and how it works for you and if you've been liking it. But this is so pretty and so fun. I'm really loving the way that this is turning out. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look, and I think my makeup looks absolutely beautiful today. I'm loving the way my complexion looks. That lip combo is beautiful, and I really like the way the eyes turned out as well. Now, to finish off the eyes, I did go in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Cinnamon. That's around here somewhere, and I can't seem to find, but if you've watched my videos before, you've seen it. It's tiny. It's my favorite. I love it. But then I lined my lid with my Lancome Ultra Precise Waterproof Liner. This is in the shade Matte Syrup Brown, and for mascara, I went in with my Lancome Idol Gentle Lash Waterproof Mascara. Now, based off of first impression, I don't have any qualms with any of these products that I tried today. Unfortunately, I was really hoping that I wouldn't like this bronzer from Hermes because it is such a pricey bronzer, but I think it looks beautiful on the skin. I think it looks very natural. I like the undertone to it. I like that it's not super intense and it's not very orange and fakey looking. It melted into the complexion beautifully and it has a really nice glow to it. So I will definitely be getting a ton of use out of this bronzer. You will see it a lot in my description box moving forward. But another standout product for me is one that I already knew that I loved, and it's the Chanel foundation. I just think this is stunning on the skin. It is very hydrating, very natural looking, and the longevity on this one is incredible. Like I said, if you have very, very oily skin, you're probably not going to like this because it is very hydrating and very kind of glowy on the skin. But if you have maybe more of like a combination, maybe more dry leaning skin, this is going to be beautiful. And of course, depending on the primer that you pair it with, depends on how it's going to wear. So this is the first time I've paired it with a hydrating primer, so we'll see how it wears. But speaking of hydrating primers, I like the way this went on. I like the way that it's sitting on my skin. I definitely feel hydrated, but we'll see how it wears, how it works under other foundations and things that I have in my complexion that I know how they work with the one from Bobbi Brown. So I'll keep y'all posted on that as well. Now the Balm Essential, as much as I do like this, like I said, this is one of those products that if it were to go bad, if I were to run out of it, if someone were to steal it from me or if I were to lose it, I wouldn't necessarily repurchase it, but I definitely will get a lot of use out of it. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. The brow gel from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I like the way that it sits in my brows. I like the way that it looks in my brows. I like the hold that it has. Now, my brows aren't super finicky. They don't get really heavy. They don't move around a lot. They kind of stay where they are because they are very sparse. So as far as hold goes, I don't really have that as an issue. I like it to be something that's going to stay in place and wear all day and give me that color that I want, and this is definitely doing that. The Refi powder, I've tried this several times. I told y'all I absolutely love this, as well as my Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Powder. I've already reviewed this one a long time ago. It's a holy grail of mine. The Westman Atelier Concealer, I have gone on and on about this in several videos at this point. It is beautiful. I love it. If you want something that's going to be hydrating, but it's not going to move around, it's not going to be super thick, accentuate texture, you don't need to set it, this is well worth the splurge, and I think it's beautiful. And look, you can already see a little bit of windowing in there. That's how much I've used it. The Chanel products, I like both of these surprisingly. Like I said, I don't have the best track record with Chanel based off of the other products that I do have, but the ones that I've been trying lately that y'all have been suggesting, I love. And I think this blush is beautiful. I like the way that it's sitting on the skin. I like the way that it applied, and I could definitely see myself picking up another shade because there's a really deep kind of berry one that I've had my eye on, but I was trying to wait until I tried this one out to see if I like the formula before I even pick it up. Now, as far as this palette goes, I think this is so fun, so pretty. I'm loving that we've got something more colorful from a luxury brand. I think they went on beautifully. Like I said, they're sitting on the eye really nicely. But again, if you are an indie makeup junkie lover and that is the impact that you like with your shadows, you are not going to like this. But if you're someone who likes luxury makeup and you like the Tom Ford formula or the YSL or Viseart or something like that, this is definitely on par. But keep in mind, this is a little pricey, but it is going to give you bigger pan sizes, and this is like a multi-use palette, so it's meant to be used on your face as well as your eyes and everywhere else. Last two things that we have, I believe, are going to be the lip products right here, and these are beautiful based off of first impression. This lipstick definitely has a matte finish to it, you can see it, but my lips don't feel very dry. They don't feel uncomfortable. They don't feel like they're stiffening up on me. This feels like it has a little bit of hydration to it, so we'll see how long it lasts throughout the day. Obviously, I'm going to have to reapply it because it is a bullet lipstick. It's not a matte liquid lipstick, and it doesn't claim to be transfer proof. The lip liner I think went on really nicely as well. I like the way that it applied. I like the shade of it. We'll see how long it lasts as well, if it's going to move around or anything like that, but based off of first impression, I think this was a really good haul. I'm impressed with the things that I picked up, and I'm very happy with the things that I picked up. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you have any of these, if you've been eyeing any of these. What are some of your favorite luxury products? Because I always want to know. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.